Hi, everyone. This is Cheryl Abram in Person Centered Cyber. I'm doing the Plan of Action and Milestones presentation again because the first time I used music in it and it was so annoying. So I said, let me just do it again without the music and all those distractions. So I'm going to talk about POAMs as they're primarily used in government because that's where I work, particularly the Department of Defense. Okay. But POAMs are done differently in various organizations. But the way I'm going to talk about it today is going to be relevant to wherever you are. Okay. Because they're basically tools that help you to manage risk. Okay. That's really what a plan of action and milestones is. So even if you do it differently at your organization, a lot of what I'm saying is going to be similar, okay? Because it's the same tool used for the same purpose. It's just a really good project management tool. And you will use some version of this in your organization. A POAM is a formal agreement. It's a dynamic written plan, okay, meaning that it's going to change. And it's a permanent part of a system documentation for the life of an IT system. Okay, so I'm going to go through an everyday example so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Because even this, as simple as these words look, if you don't really know what a poem is, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. Now, the first time I heard the word poem, I thought it was a word. Okay, because my when I was at NAFC, my manager said, "Oh, Cheryl, I want you to do a poem about something." I forgot what it was for, and I was like, "Okay." And then I was like, "What the hell is a poem?" So I had to go and look it up, and I found that it was an acronym. All right, and then then it just went on from there with me learning more and more about what a poem is and what it's used for. So there are 7 phases of the NIST RMF process, of which and the poem is a major part of this process. Okay, and they're most prominent in these 3 phases. Okay, phases 3 and 4 is where I do most of my work in my current position. But I have at least an intermediate proficiency with the tools and processes in all of these phases. Okay. Now, this is a poem item or one entry. Okay. Now, there can be hundreds, well, let me say dozens to hundreds to, yes, thousands of these entries. Okay. In a poem, and it'll be called a poem. All right, because it's about the areas in an IT system that need more work to be secure. All right, at a certain level. Now I'll go more into detail about this entire thing in a few minutes, but I just want you to see when I heard poem, I would have one thing in my mind, and then I would look at one and see like 200 entries in there, and I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? Is this whole 200, is this whole thing the poem, or is it just one of these things? Okay, it's just one. Every one of the 200 is a poem. Do you understand? Okay, now let's have an everyday example of a system so you can see this in another way. Now, you are a homeowner. You've just bought this amazing house. You want to install a sophisticated security system in and around your home to secure and protect your family, all your valuables, and anything else that you feel needs to be protected. You have no experience in home security systems, and even if you did, you don't have the time, okay, to install things, monitor stuff, maintain systems, and all that. All right. So for this reason, you decide to hire a security company. They're going to come in to assess your home, help you make the best decision about the type of physical and digital security solutions that you're going to need in the house. Okay. Now, in this scenario, you are the authorizing official, the AO. All right. You're the role that's accountable for making the decision to bring a system onto your network. Okay. So if anything happens, it's on you because you're the accountable one. All right. The security company representative is the system owner or the role responsible for all aspects of the security system performance, including the security of the system itself. Okay. This is a security system But as a security system, it also needs to be secure. Do you know what I mean? Okay. As the AO and homeowner, you require the security company to meet certain standards before you allow this system in your house. Okay, so here's some of what you require. You say the alarm systems and cameras have to remain operational 24/7 without interruption. You require rapid response in the event of a break in to include notifying you and law enforcement. And their hardware equipment has to be tamper resistant and able to function in different kinds of weather. Okay, those are your three requirements. You're telling the security company, before I let this thing onto my network in my house to protect my family and my valuables, this is what it needs to be. Okay, these are the standards that it needs to adhere to. Now, the company has to provide training to you and everyone in the house on how to properly use the security system to avoid user error that could break the system or compromise your security. And finally, any data collected by the security system, like images, video, audio, it has to be stored securely and in compliance with privacy laws. All right. Now, these are in addition to those other rules that I was just talking about. Now, the POAM is the document that's created by the security company to ensure this system implements and maintains the standards that you've set, along with any other requirements, okay, to keep the security system secure. So let's say you go ahead, okay, they present it to you, you like it, they show you all the security features and all the stuff it can do. You purchase it. All right, now you're 6 months in, and the company does an assessment of its own system, okay, to find any vulnerabilities in the cameras, in the floodlights, whatever it is that was a part of that. Now, the yellow section of this POAM, and the information below it is a description of each thing, okay. Now, all POAMs don't look alike, okay? But for what we're doing here, these are some of the core fields that you're going to find. So here we go. We have the ID, okay? The control number, the vulnerability. So the ID is a unique identifier, okay, for tracking the POAM. The control number and the description, okay? So one of the requirements was that the system must remain operational for 24/7 without interruption, okay? Now, when the security company did the vulnerability scan, okay, of the security system, they found something in there that made it susceptible to distributed denial of service attacks. Okay, let's say, for instance, the date they discovered this, or the date that they did the scan, was 12/15/2024. Uh, and they got this from a quarterly installation assessment. That's the source or method. Okay, so they do these things quarterly. This information came back as a result of that quarterly scan. Now, the description: vulnerabilities in firewall software remain unpatched, leaving known attack paths open. Attackers could exploit these vulnerabilities to gain control of the firewall. Now, that's just telling you what this vulnerability means. Okay, susceptibility to DDoS attacks. What the heck does that mean? It's telling you right here in the description. This is what it means. Okay. Now, the severity. How serious is this vulnerability? You know, is it equivalent to, let's say, you have no lock on your front door? That would be like a cat 1, okay? Especially if you live in a bad neighborhood. That's a cat 1 for sure. Okay, meaning you got to fix this today, like right now. This has to be fixed now. We're not going to, we're not waiting. We're not waiting for somebody to get money. We're not waiting for none of that. Fix it today, okay? Because it's very, very serious. All right. So lock off your door, or is it something like, um, let's say you're missing I don't know, like you have shutters or something, okay? And one of the things came loose in the shutter. Okay, that would be like a cat 3. I mean, it's something we want to fix. Okay, we want to fix it, but it's not that serious. You're gonna have you have some time to do that. All right. So this is a cat 1, susceptibility to DDoS attacks. Now, so there's a mitigation and remediation. The goal is remediation, meaning get rid of it. completely get rid of this vulnerability. We don't want to see it. Put a lock on the door so we no longer have the vulnerability. Okay. Sometimes, for various reasons, you can't remediate right away or even at all. Okay. Sometimes you can't get that lock for the door for whatever reason. Okay. In that case, you got to mitigate it. Okay. So to mitigate it means you're going to do what you can to, if you can't get rid of the risk, you're going to at least reduce it as much as you can. Okay. So here we're mitigating this susceptibility to DDoS attacks. Okay. And we're going to use firewall rules to adjust the limit, to limit connection attempts from a single source within a specific time frame. Okay. Now you still got to do this like right now. Okay. But you're just reducing the risk until you can completely get rid of the risk by installing the lock on the door. Okay. um Residual risk. So what's left after you put this mitigation? What's the risk now? Is it still a cat 1? So let's say you can't put a lock on the door. So what you do is you what do you do? You get one of those, uh what do you call those things? The bar, the bar that you put underneath the doorknob behind the door, so somebody can't open it like that. Okay, that would be your how you mitigate it. You don't have a lock, but you do have that bar underneath the door. Okay, that'll, if somebody tries to push it open, they won't be able to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so that bar now takes you from a cat 1, okay, to where there's nothing on this door at all. No lock, no nothing. This is a bad neighborhood. Somebody's just going to walk in here and do what they want to do to you and your family. Okay. It's not that serious anymore because now we have the bar under the door. So now it's a cat 2. It's a moderate risk now because I put in this mitigation. All right. So for this one, because I've adjusted these firewall rules, it's now a cat 2, a moderate. Okay. All right. And milestones. So, what are the milestones that I'm going to use to get to the remediation? Okay, I'm going to contact the firewall vendor for patching information. I'm going, and by this date, then the company is going to implement the test patches by this date, 12/29. Then the company is going to submit evidence to show that this thing has been remediated, that the risk is no longer there. Okay, and they're going to do that by January 2025. Okay, so the target completion date, everything's going to be done and good and remediated is going to be January 10th, 2025. And here's the POC for all of that. Okay, now that's a very long-winded way of just talking about what a POAM is, what it does, and how it helps to demonstrate that you are managing risk, okay, to the organization. Some risk, some vulnerability that's been discovered in this IT system, whatever system it is, and what you're actively doing. First of all, you know about it, okay, and then you have a solid plan to get this thing remediated. Okay. Um, Okay, so the primary people involved with POAMs, okay, are these folks: the information system owner, the program managers, security control assessors. There's a whole bunch of people involved, okay, with the POAM. All right. Now, this POAM can change, and it should change, okay, especially if you have dates in here, you have milestones in here to remediation. Something else could happen. You might do another vulnerability scan, and something else might be going on with this thing. All right. Or when you fix it, okay, that needs to be documented somewhere, that has been completed. It's no longer a vulnerability. Okay. So these roles, the titles, the people who have these responsibilities are not going to be the same in every organization. The names are going to change, okay, but what they're doing, will likely remain the same. Okay, you might not call it information system security officer, but somebody is going to be providing technical expertise, reviewing the POAMs, and verifying that vulnerabilities have been resolved. Somebody's going to be doing that, okay? Even if you don't call them an ISO. Okay, POAM item status. What's the status of this POAM? Okay, think of these as the status of your relationship. Okay, is it planned? Is it something that's ongoing? Like we're actively addressing this thing. It's on our radar. It's a work in progress. Okay, is it delayed? Well, we thought we were going to be able to do this here, but something happened. See, and this is why it's dynamic, right? It's going to be changing. Is it completed? It's fully resolved. Okay, but it hasn't yet been verified. Is it closed? It's verified, resolved. We gave you the evidence. It's closed now. Is it not applicable? Okay, this vulnerability actually doesn't apply to the system, that I have, or the way that it's configured. Or is it a vulnerability where the AO is saying, okay, I see that there's a vulnerability here, and I see that it's not going to be resolved for whatever reason, because it's going to break the system, or whatever reason it is. But the authorizing official is going to say, you know what, I'm going to accept that risk and allow it to come onto the network, even if it has this vulnerability. Now it should have some, mitigations, and stuff around it to reduce the risk, but the AO is aware that it won't be fixed. Okay, it can't be fixed because for whatever reason it can't be patched or something like that. Okay, but they're going to accept the AO is going to accept that risk. Again, meaning if something happens, it's on the AO because you accepted the risk. Okay. Now, why do we need POAMs? Well, number one, they're required. Okay, you got to have them. Okay, because of FISMA. Again, this is about the government. All right. DOD and DOD, you got to have them too. Okay, the new R5, it's in there. You gotta have it. Okay, FedRAMP, and it's not just that you gotta have it. Like you should want to have it. Don't you want to know, where the vulnerabilities are and what you need to do to fix them? That stuff has to be written down. You can't just hold that in your head. You know what I'm saying, and think that somebody's just going to remember. What if they leave? You have no idea what's going on. So you definitely want a POAM. You shouldn't. I don't. You shouldn't have to be forced to have a POAM. That's crazy. You want to be managing risk. That's what a cyber person is here for, to manage. That's what cybersecurity is. Hello, it's managing risk. That's what it is. All right. It's not attack and defense. No, it's managing risk. That's exactly what cybersecurity is. Okay. Anytime you have an IT system, you are introducing many capabilities into an organization, but at that very same time, you are introducing a whole bunch of risk, okay, to the organization, because this IT system, if it's connected to the internet, all right, it's connected to a whole world, digital world of risk. So you got to manage that. You don't want this IT system to be the downfall of the whole organization. I don't care how good it is, okay? How much AI is helping the organization, that don't matter. You still have to manage the risk that it comes with. It's just like any relationship. I don't care how much you love this person. Adding this person into your life, into your system, you're adding some kind of risk, especially with people who are wholly unpredictable, So you have to be able to manage that. All right, now these are systems that actively track, organize, and store risk management documentation. I use EMAS. That's where I am. I have not used any of these other ones, but I would like to. I think eventually I'd like to work in RMF in the commercial world. So these are some that I've researched and that I know of just from research, not because I've worked with any of them. Okay. All right. And that's all I have for the POAM. I will be back with more RM. I love RMF, y'all. So I'm going to be back to talk about more RMF stuff and curriculum design, cybersecurity curriculum design, and all that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please like the video and comment, ask me any questions. If you want to see or hear something else about having to do with RMF, GRC, let me know and I'll be happy to come back with that for you. Okay, y'all have a good one. Bye.